Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Hope all of you are doing well today. So in this video, it's nothing crazy. Today I'm just going to be discussing 5 things I think devotees should keep in mind. Nothing groundbreaking, nothing too insane. So the first thing I wrote down is that Santa Muerte will give you the space to learn lessons. And I've seen people complaining that bad things happen to them, and why would Santa Muerte let certain bad things happen in their life? Why would she allow certain events to take place? And for me personally, I've had a lot of bad things happen in my life, but there's always a purpose behind it. Sometimes it's completely my fault. Sometimes I will have been given intuitive direction or sometimes even direct guidance and I don't listen, or maybe I'm too lazy or I'm forgetful and I don't act on what I was told and things just don't go the way I want them to go. Sometimes things are fated to happen. Sometimes I'm meant to go through certain negative events so that I can learn certain things I need to learn, so that I can be better as a person, so that I can learn, the way other people truly are on the inside. Like, go through a betrayal so that I can learn about a certain person, so that I can remove them from my life. When Santa Muerte doesn't exist to insulate you from all trauma or harm or negative events in your life, she is a guide. She is there to, act as help and as a protector in certain instances. But generally, she seems to be a lot more hands-off most of the time, I find. She kind of gives you breathing room to make your own decisions and make your own choices. And she also won't protect you from every little thing that happens in your life, because you still are a human living life, learning lessons. And I think that some people kind of get it confused and they think that she's supposed to not allow any bad thing to happen, big or small, in your life. And it just doesn't work like that. It's just not realistic. And even if you work with other beings from other pantheons or even are part of a different religion, it's the same. No matter who you're devoted to, good and bad things are still going to happen in your life. Obviously, she will step in certain instances, but generally I would say she is going to let things happen in your life play out in a natural way for the most part. The second thing I wrote down is that you really shouldn't compare your relationship you have with her with other people's relationship that they have online. When people post their relationship with Santa Muerte online, especially if they're content creators, they don't always show you all the ins and outs. They don't show you the details. And sometimes all they're showing you is just kind of the highlights, the good parts of it, the easy parts of it. And not only that, but they also have a different lifestyle than other people most of the time, especially if they make good money. So you can't really compare your relationship with her to the relationship that other people have with her. I've seen devotees online whose entire existence revolves around their devotion to Santa Muerte. It's like the first thing they wake up thinking about how they can devote to her. Their whole house is just a giant altar to her. They go live on TikTok or Instagram all day long, and all they do is talk about Santa Muerte. And their devotion, has kind of overtaken their entire existence. And I know that my relationship with Santa Muerte will never look like that. And these people, some of them I've seen, they kind of shame people, or they make people feel inferior because they are not as devoted, like it's a competition. And it's just really important to remember that all of us have different paths and different lives. Some of us are meant to only work with Santa Muerte. Some of us are meant to work with Santa Muerte alongside other beings. And some of us are meant to act as teachers and guides. And some of us are simply meant to just have her in our lives. Everyone has a different type of relationship with her, because we all lead different lives and are destined to walk different spiritual paths. Sometimes you'll see people who have a similar devotion to you, but it's definitely a one-size-fits-all type. It's not that type of a thing. So what works for one person probably won't work for another person. Some people will pray at their altar absolutely every single day. Some people will pray at their altar every other day. Some people will pray to their altar once a week. Some people will do a rosary once a week. Some people will never do a rosary. Everyone's practice with Santa Muerte is going to look a little bit different. Obviously, the baseline is the same. You have respect, You don't let the altar fall into disarray. Normal things like that. But when it comes to daily practice with Santa Muerte, you really can't compare your practice to another person. And not only that, but there's also other factors like money. Some people have more money to spend on the altar. Some people can buy a bouquet of flowers every day. Some people, that's something that they just can't afford. Everyone's practice is different, so just really don't compare yourself to, other people's practice with Santa Muerte, because it's definitely not one size fits all. And I've seen some people kind of be confused or be hard on themselves about it, so just be wary of falling into that, pit of comparison. A third thing I wrote down was that if you are a devotee, and obviously with all things going on right now with ICE and people being targeted and things like that, it can feel like you can't do anything. But some stuff you can do. You can donate money, you can do things like that. But when you are a devotee of Santa Muerte, there is always something that you can do, and that is pray. The power of prayer is real. And although I'm not going to sit here and compare it to other forms of physical action or magic or things like that, the power of prayer is a real thing. And I think that it's not something that should be overlooked or neglected. Prayer is powerful, especially if you do it every day or for prolonged periods of time. It is, to me, I would consider it a low-level magic in general. It's like when you speak things into existence, except prayer is more potent than that. And I think that if you feel helpless to lend a hand, if you just don't know what to do or where to start with a lot of these situations going on right now, pray. You have an altar, you can pray. And this is just for people who feel called to try to do something and they just feel like they can't do anything. I'm reminding you that if you are a devotee, and this isn't just regarding current events or things involving like immigration or something, this is if you feel helpless to help with any number of things, big or small, involving people in your personal life, strangers. There are a million causes that you can get behind, and if you don't have money to donate, you don't have time to donate, you may not even be physically able to help in a physical way. At the very least, you can pray if you really feel called to. So this is just a little reminder, you're not totally powerless. You can offer something if you really feel called to. The fourth thing I wrote down is that no Santa Muerte book is perfect. And I say this because I own many books. I own maybe 5 or 6 now, and they're not all the same. Some of them have more valuable information, and when I say valuable, I mean valuable or useful to me personally. Some of them I find more use with than others, and it's not to say they're bad books, but not every book has what you would hope for. I've bought books before, and I flip through them, and there's not really much that I can personally use in my personal practice. Some of them have information I already knew, or sometimes most of the book will be of no value to me, no use to me, but maybe a chapter or maybe just a single prayer or something like that will be of use to me. No book is created equal, and if I don't find particular value in the majority of a certain book, that doesn't mean the next person won't find great value in that book, because we all walk different paths with Santa Muerte, and we are not all, we don't all have the same relationship with her. We're not all practicing magic. We are not all able to devote time and attention and energy and money as much as other people. Everyone's practice looks different, and not all books are going to be the same. I've seen people go online and bash books, or they will say like, oh, some parts of the books were good, some parts of it were bad, and because some parts of it were bad, I'm just going to say this book is trash, don't read it, don't buy it. You'll likely never catch me doing that. No matter what books I have that I've looked through personally, they're not all the same, but no book is completely, utterly devoid of value. And I think that you really should just, listen to all sides. And I think ultimately, if you really feel called to a book, just buy the book and, decide for yourself, do I resonate with anything in this book? Are there any prayers or rituals that I can use? Or maybe I'll just use it for reference, the section that just talks about statues, and maybe the rest of the book is of no use. Like I said, no book is perfect. And I've just been seeing a lot of people, bashing the books, and even some of the old books that are in Spanish, because some people are like very hyper traditional and they will say only the books in Spanish. I only read the books that are in Spanish. The English books are all trash. And I've read some of the Spanish books and they're good, but some of them are of no value to me, what they provide. And a lot of them contradict each other. I can pull up 2 Spanish books and they will contradict each other. They'll say the colors mean different things. They will say all kinds of stuff. And although they do provide a lot of value, because to me they're more closely in line with more traditional work with Santa Muerte, which maybe there's more power in that because it is traditional. Again, some of those books contradict one another anyway. So if somebody is saying that a certain book is not worth it, just do more research and see how you feel about it. Or buy the book yourself if you can, and again, decide for yourself. Don't let other people decide for you when it comes to something like that, because some people have very strong biases and you don't want that to affect what kind of knowledge you're able to come across. Because me personally, I read everything and I will just take bits and pieces from stuff to help me get a better general understanding of things. And if I even gain one thing from a book, to me it wasn't a total loss. The last thing I want to mention is that, especially if you are a newer devotee, is you don't need to follow every person who posts Santa Muerte content, and you definitely don't need to like everything you see relating to Santa Muerte. I find that a lot of people, because they love Santa Muerte so much, they will see content online, and it doesn't matter who it is or what the content is even saying, they will just like kind of blindly like it, or just be like loving the content. And not all content is created equal. Some of it provides much more value than others, and some of it is kind of negative or negatively skewed. It's a sad reality that some content creators, they are more fear-mongering or more negative, and some people just have more negativity about them. And I think that some of them have platforms because they kind of, like the way some people will put the fear of God into people, some people will put the fear of Santa Muerte into other people, and they will make it seem like she's very angry with them, or they're failing her if their practice doesn't look a certain way. And I think that if certain content creators, Santa Muerte related content creators, are making you feel very negative, or making you feel fearful, or making you feel anxiety or stressed out because your practice doesn't look exactly like their practice, or if they're using words or phrases that are very inflammatory, that make you feel unsure of yourself as a devotee, maybe step away, because there are always going to be other practitioners, other content creators who are still providing good information that don't make you feel so negative. The world is very negative as it is, and most things, especially in the media, are skewed towards the negative anyway, because it gets more clicks, it sells more. So just be wary of people who, whose content makes you feel angry all the time, or afraid, or like you're less than, or like your practice is inferior. So just be sure to, be more conscious of the content you consume. And remember that you don't have to follow every person who creates Santa Muerte content. And if some people's content does not vibe with you, unfollow them, unsubscribe for them. Some people, if they're really toxic, you can even block them. That's not offensive to Santa Muerte to be more discerning with who you're getting information from, or whose energy you allow into your personal space. Because if you are watching somebody's content, especially regularly, you are allowing their energy in your personal space. So that's all I really want to say in this video. Those are just 5 things to kind of just keep in mind if you're a devotee, if you're a new devotee, if you're a seasoned devotee. Just 5 things to just remember in case you forgot. I plan on making a lot more content soon. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for listening. And I really look forward to seeing you in the next one. So take care.